Hello, my students. Let me tell you something that most English learners never hear. Your accent is not the reason people don't understand you, and it's definitely not the reason you feel stuck. The real problem is something much deeper and much simpler. It's clarity. Every day, millions of people around the world speak English with strong accents, and they are understood, respected, and listened to. So why do so many learners stay silent? Why do they wait years before speaking confidently? Why do they feel nervous every time they open their mouth? Because they were taught to chase perfection instead of understanding. In this episode, I want you to forget the pressure of sounding native and discover what actually makes people listen to you, trust you, and enjoy talking to you. So stay with me until the very end, because this lesson can completely change the way you speak English, and more importantly, the way you see your own voice. Let's begin. Part 1. Most English learners carry a quiet fear they rarely say out loud. It's not grammar, it's not vocabulary, it's the accent. The fear of sounding wrong, the fear of sounding foreign, the fear of opening their mouth and immediately being judged. So they wait. They listen more than they speak. They prepare more than they practice. They try to fix their accent before they allow themselves to communicate. And without realizing it, they build a cage around their own voice. Here's the truth that changes everything. People don't need you to sound perfect. They need you to be clear. Clarity is what creates understanding. Accent is just flavor. Think about how communication actually works in real life. When you listen to someone, what matters most? Is it whether they sound native, or is it whether you understand their message easily, without effort, without confusion? Clarity reduces friction. Accent does not. You can have a strong accent and still be extremely clear, and you can have a perfect accent and still be confusing. Clarity comes from structure, rhythm, and intention, from choosing the right words, from speaking at a pace that allows meaning to land, from emphasizing the important parts of a sentence instead of rushing through everything. Accent is how you sound. Clarity is how you're understood. And the world always chooses understanding. Many learners don't realize this because schools often teach English in the wrong order. They focus on pronunciation rules, phonetic symbols, and correct sounds before teaching how ideas flow in real speech. This creates the illusion that accent equals intelligence or credibility. It doesn't. Some of the most influential speakers in the world speak English with clear accents from other languages. They are respected because their message is organized, confident, and easy to follow. Their clarity creates authority. Clarity tells the listener, I know what I'm saying. Accent does not. Another important truth is this. Clarity is something you can improve immediately. Accent takes time, sometimes years, and often never disappears completely. Waiting for a perfect accent before speaking is like waiting to be perfect before living. You don't need permission to communicate. What actually blocks clarity is not accent, it's tension. When you're nervous, you rush. When you rush, words collapse into each other. Sentences lose shape. The listener has to work harder. And when the listener works harder, communication feels awkward. Relaxed speech is clearer speech. This is why confident speakers often sound clearer even with mistakes. They pause, they breathe, they let sentences finish. They don't panic when they search for a word. They stay present. Presence creates clarity. Another mistake learners make is trying to sound native instead of trying to be understood. They imitate fast speech, slang, and complex expressions too early. But speed without control destroys clarity. Simpler language, spoken well, always wins. A short, clear sentence is more powerful than a long, messy one. Clarity also builds trust. When people understand you easily, they feel comfortable. They relax. Conversation flows. And once conversation flows, your confidence grows naturally. This confidence then improves pronunciation over time, not the other way around. Accent improves after clarity, not before. This is especially important for your identity as an English speaker. When you focus on clarity, you stop hiding. You stop apologizing for how you sound. You stop saying, "Sorry for my English." Instead, you communicate. And communication is the real goal of language. In 2026, or any year you want to grow, the question is not, "Do I sound native yet?" The question is, "Am I easy to understand?" If the answer is yes, you are already successful. In the next part, we'll explore what actually creates clarity in spoken English, the habits, rhythms, and mindset shifts that make your speech clear even if your accent stays. Part 2. If clarity matters more than accent, the next question becomes obvious. Where does clarity actually come from? Because clarity is not a talent. It's not something you're born with. It's a skill. And like any skill, it's built through awareness and habit, not through pressure or perfection. The first source of clarity is thought structure. Most unclear speech doesn't come from bad pronunciation. It comes from unclear thinking. When ideas are not organized in your mind, they come out tangled in your mouth. You jump between thoughts, restart sentences, or add unnecessary words. The listener gets lost, not because of your accent, but because the message has no clear path. Clear speakers think in simple lines. One idea, one sentence, then the next. This doesn't mean short or boring speech. It means controlled speech. It means deciding what matters in a sentence and letting that idea lead. Before speaking, even for a second, ask yourself, what is the main idea here? When that idea is clear, the sentence becomes clearer automatically. The second source of clarity is pace. Most learners speak too fast when they're nervous and too slow when they're unsure. Both reduce clarity. Fast speech swallows sounds. Slow, hesitant speech breaks rhythm. The goal is not speed, it's flow. Flow comes from breathing. When you breathe properly, your voice stabilizes. Your pauses become natural. Your listener has time to process meaning. Pauses are not mistakes. They are punctuation in speech. Native speakers pause constantly. That's how they stay clear. Another powerful element of clarity is stress and emphasis. English is not flat. Certain words carry meaning, and others support them. When everything is said with the same energy, nothing stands out. The listener works harder. Clarity improves when you highlight key words and relax on the rest. You don't need perfect sounds. You need clear emphasis. Think of clarity like guiding a flashlight. You're showing the listener where to look. Accent is just the color of the light. Vocabulary also plays a role, but not in the way people think. Clarity doesn't come from advanced words. It comes from appropriate words. Simple, common vocabulary used correctly is always clearer than complex words used badly. A speaker who says, "I had a problem and I fixed it," is clearer than someone who says, "I encountered a complication which was resolved with hesitation." Clarity is generous. It makes listening easy. Another hidden enemy of clarity is self-correction. Many learners stop mid-sentence to fix grammar or pronunciation. This breaks flow and confuses listeners more than the original mistake would have. Mistakes that continue smoothly are clearer than corrections that interrupt. Let the sentence finish. Keep momentum. Meaning matters more than accuracy in real conversation. This doesn't mean ignoring improvement. It means choosing the right moment. Practice accuracy when you're practicing. Choose clarity when you're communicating. There's also an emotional side to clarity. When you're relaxed, you speak better. When you feel judged, your body tightens. Your voice shortens. Your mind races. This is why safe environments accelerate clarity. Talk to people who listen, not people who correct every word. Practice speaking in low-pressure situations. Confidence grows in safety, not in fear. Finally, clarity improves when you listen more than you imitate. Many learners copy sounds without understanding rhythm. Instead, listen for how ideas are grouped. Notice how speakers start, connect, and end thoughts. This trains your brain to organize speech naturally. Clarity is learned through exposure, not memorization. The beautiful part is this: as clarity improves, accent often improves naturally. Your mouth relaxes, your timing improves, your confidence grows. Accent softens without force. Accent is a side effect. Clarity is the cause. In the next part, we'll talk about how obsession with accent actually slows progress and how letting go of perfection can unlock fluency faster than any pronunciation drill. Part 3. One of the biggest reasons people stay stuck in English for years is not lack of effort. It's misdirected effort. When learners become obsessed with accent, they start practicing the wrong things at the wrong time, and this quietly slows everything down. Accent obsession creates pressure. Pressure creates tension. Tension kills clarity. When you're constantly monitoring how your voice sounds, your brain splits attention. One part tries to communicate, the other part judges. This inner split makes speech unnatural. Sentences lose rhythm. Pauses feel awkward. You start sounding less clear, not more. Ironically, the more you chase a native accent, the less native-like your communication becomes. Native speakers are not thinking about sounds when they speak. They're thinking about meaning. They trust their voice to do its job. That trust is what gives speech its natural flow. Another problem with accent obsession is comparison. Learners compare themselves to movies, podcasts, or influencers who have spent years immersed in English. This comparison creates unrealistic standards. Instead of measuring progress, people measure distance, how far they still feel from perfect. Distance discourages action. Action creates improvement. When you focus on clarity, progress feels closer. Every conversation that goes smoothly becomes a win. Every message understood builds confidence. Confidence then fuels more speaking. This loop is powerful. Accent obsession breaks this loop. It also keeps people silent longer than necessary. Many learners wait to speak until they sound better. But silence doesn't train speaking. Speaking trains speaking. Accent, rhythm, and pronunciation improve through usage, not preparation alone. You don't learn to swim by studying water. You learn by entering it. There's another hidden cost. Accent obsession can make you sound less confident even when your English is good. Apologizing for your accent, lowering your voice, or hesitating before speaking sends a signal of uncertainty. Listeners feel it instantly. Confidence communicates more than pronunciation. A clear message delivered confidently with an accent is more persuasive than a perfect accent delivered with doubt. It's also important to understand that having an accent is not a weakness. It's evidence of experience. It means you speak more than one language. In many professional and social environments, accents are normal, expected, and respected. What matters is whether people understand you without effort. In real life, people adjust to accents quickly. What they don't adjust to easily is confusion. Clarity respects the listener's time. Accent does not affect it. Another reason clarity matters more is scalability. You can improve clarity in every conversation, every day. You can simplify sentences, slow slightly, emphasize key words, pause naturally. These changes are immediate and practical. Accent improvement is slower and often subconscious. It follows clarity, confidence, and exposure. When you let it develop naturally, it improves without stress. Letting go of accent perfection doesn't mean giving up on pronunciation. It means choosing priority. Clarity first, accent second. This shift also changes how you practice. Instead of drilling sounds endlessly, you practice speaking ideas. Instead of repeating isolated words, you repeat meaningful sentences. Instead of chasing native speed, you chase understanding. And something interesting happens when you do this. Your brain starts thinking in English instead of translating. Your speech becomes smoother. Your pauses feel intentional. Your accent softens without effort. Because clarity aligns the whole system. In the next part, we'll explore how clarity changes how people perceive you in conversations, at work, and socially, and why being understood easily creates authority, trust, and connection faster than any accent ever could. Part 4. Something interesting happens when your speech becomes clear. People stop focusing on how you sound and start focusing on what you say. And when that shift happens, perception changes. Not slowly, immediately. Clarity creates trust. When people understand you easily, their brain relaxes. They don't need to guess. They don't need to work hard to follow you. That ease creates comfort, and comfort opens the door to connection. This is true in conversations with friends, at work, in meetings, and even with strangers. Accent doesn't decide credibility. Ease of understanding does. Think about the people you respect when they speak. They don't rush. They don't over-explain. They don't apologize for their voice. They guide you through their thoughts calmly. That calm creates authority. Not loud authority, quiet authority. Clarity signals self-respect. When you speak clearly, you send a message without saying it. I value my message, and I trust it deserves space. This confidence invites attention. People listen more carefully. They ask follow-up questions. They engage. And this is where many learners are surprised. They think accent creates connection, but clarity creates conversation. In professional environments, this difference is even more powerful. Managers, colleagues, and clients don't need you to sound native. They need to understand you quickly. Meetings move fast. Decisions are made under pressure. The speaker who explains clearly becomes valuable. Clarity saves time, and time creates respect. This is why speakers with strong accents often succeed globally. They organize ideas well. They pause before important points. They repeat key messages in different ways. They make listening easy. Clarity also makes you more persuasive. When ideas are structured and delivered calmly, people are more likely to agree, not because they're impressed, but because they understand. Understanding reduces resistance. Resistance often comes from confusion. Socially, clarity has the same effect. When conversations flow smoothly, people feel relaxed around you. They don't worry about misunderstandings. Humor lands better. Stories become enjoyable. Connection deepens. Accent rarely blocks connection. Anxiety does. When you're anxious about sounding wrong, your attention turns inward. You stop listening. You stop responding naturally. Conversation becomes effort instead of exchange. Clarity disappears not because of language, but because of fear. This is why focusing on clarity is emotionally freeing. It shifts attention outward. Instead of monitoring yourself, you focus on the other person. You listen better. You respond better. Conversation becomes human again. Another powerful change clarity creates is identity shift. When you realize that people understand you, something clicks. You stop seeing yourself as a learner who can't speak well and start seeing yourself as a speaker who is improving. This shift matters deeply. Identity drives behavior. Once you identify as someone who communicates, you communicate more. And the more you communicate, the better you become. This is why clarity accelerates progress faster than pronunciation drills alone. It puts you into real interaction. Real interaction builds confidence. Confidence improves delivery. Delivery improves accent naturally. Clarity is not just a speaking skill, it's a mindset. It says, my voice is allowed to exist as it is. It says, meaning matters more than perfection. It says, I don't need approval to communicate. And that mindset changes everything. In the next and final part, we'll bring everything together. How to train clarity daily, how to stop apologizing for your accent, and how to build confident, clear English that people enjoy listening to. Part 5. At some point, every English learner reaches a quiet crossroads. Not a dramatic one, a subtle one. It's the moment you realize that waiting to sound perfect has cost you more than speaking imperfectly ever could. And in that moment, the priority shifts. You stop asking, how do I sound? And you start asking, am I understood? This is where real progress begins. Clarity is not something you turn on once and forget. It's a daily choice, a choice to slow down slightly, to finish sentences, to trust pauses, to choose simpler words when needed, to speak with intention instead of performance. These habits don't require talent, they require permission. Permission to speak before you feel ready, permission to be clear before being perfect. Permission to let your accent exist without apology. One of the most powerful changes you can make is to stop saying, sorry for my English. Every time you say it, you lower your own value before anyone else does. Most listeners are not judging you. They're adjusting to you. And they adjust quickly when clarity is present. You don't need to announce your limitations. Let your clarity speak for you. Daily training for clarity is simple and realistic. Speak a little every day. Not fast, not fancy, just clearly. Describe your thoughts out loud. Summarize what you listen to. Practice finishing ideas without correcting yourself mid-sentence. Record yourself occasionally, not to judge your accent, but to notice flow. Notice this instead. Are your ideas complete? Are your pauses natural? Is your message easy to follow? That's clarity. Also, listen with intention, not to copy sounds, but to absorb structure. Notice how speakers introduce ideas, connect them, and close them. This trains your brain to organize speech automatically. Over time, clarity becomes instinctive, and something important happens when you commit to clarity. You stop hiding, you stop waiting, you stop seeing yourself as not ready yet. You start participating. Participation changes identity, and identity changes outcomes. Accent will continue evolving quietly in the background. It always does when speech becomes relaxed and frequent, but even if it never disappears completely, it will no longer matter because people will listen to what you say, not how you say it. That's the real freedom. Clarity gives you a voice that works today, not someday. It allows connection now, not later. It turns English from a performance into a tool. And once English becomes a tool, your life expands. You speak more. You connect more. You grow faster. So remember this as you move forward. The goal is not to sound like someone else. The goal is to be understood as yourself. And when clarity leads, confidence follows. Always.